page 542 with your integration by parts also. Number 6 looks the same as number 5 because they have the same denominator, x squared plus x minus 6. The difference is your numerator this time is x cubed instead of 1. Okay, anytime you're doing integration by parts, if your degree, which means your highest exponent on top, is larger or the same as the one on the bottom, you have to do long division to simplify this thing, okay? So that's going to be your first step here. Again, you only do that if the degree on top is higher than the degree on bottom or the same. All right, so I have whatever's on the bottom divided into whatever's on top. And when you were learning long division, you learned that you had to, if you had a variable missing, you had to have a placeholder there. So I had to show like 0x squared, 0x to the first. You even had 0 for a constant here. So that's your long division. So now you're doing division. You have x squared going into x cubed. You're asking yourself what you have to multiply by. So I would have to multiply by x, just x to the first. Okay, and then don't forget you have to distribute, now for the multiplication part, distribute the x times all three of those. So I get x cubed plus x squared minus 6x. And then just like good old 4th grade long division, when it was time to subtract, you got to change the signs, because you're subtracting, of everything. So change all those signs. Now you're going to add x cubed minus x cubed, those are gone. Then I have negative 1x squared and plus 6x. Bring down the last number and start all over again. So your division step, I have x squared going into negative x squared. What do you have to multiply x squared by? So you get negative x squared. Well, you got to multiply by negative 1. And just like before, now you're going to distribute your negative 1 to all three of those things. So I get negative x squared minus x plus 6. And then don't forget the last step. Change all the signs because you're subtracting. That's important. Okay, the x squareds cancel. You're left with 7x minus 6. I know I'm done dividing because now I have x squared. I can't multiply x squared by something and get x to the first. Okay, so this is your remainder. And so here's your answer. This is your remainder, and here's how you need to write it. So you have the answer x minus 1 plus, the way you write your remainder is like a fraction. Your remainder on top. What you divided by goes on bottom. Okay, so this right here is equal to that original fraction right there. Okay, so it's important that you do that first step because that's going to allow you to then integrate this or do the antiderivative. So we're going to have to scoot this up. So our new integral is, I want to integrate x minus 1 plus this fraction. X squared plus x minus 6. Okay, so that's my integration there. Now I can really scoot everybody up. Okay, so the first two are easy, right? I can do integrate x, that's x squared over 2. That's a piece of cake. Okay, and then minus 1, that gives me negative x. But then this little fella right here, that's going to take some time. So I have some work to do before I'm ready to integrate or find the antiderivative of this thing right here. So I've done the first two terms. I went ahead and did the calculus for those two. Now I've got to do the calculus for my fraction, which I got to use the method of partial fractions. So factor that thing on bottom, you get x plus 3, x minus 2. You're going to split that into two fractions. The order of what you put on the bottom doesn't matter, so if you had a and b in a different order, it would not matter. Okay? Those are my two fractions. Do your foreign exchange program. Whoop, whoop. So I have a times x minus 2 plus b times x plus 3. That gives me ax minus 2a plus bx plus 3b. Okay, so now I have to make my expressions. So I had two x values, and when I add them together, I ended up with 7 x's. Okay, so again, you go back to your numerator. That's going to tell you what these equal. So that means a plus b had to equal 7, because when I added my x terms together, I got 7x. All right, and then my constants. Negative 2a was one of my constants. 3b was the other. When I added those together, I got negative 6 for an answer. So those two equal negative 6. Process of elimination. Again, if I had positive 2a in that top row, the a's would cancel. So I'm going to multiply that top row by 2. 2a plus 2b equals 14. Don't forget to do the other side of the equal sign. And then negative 2a plus 3b equals negative 6. When you add those two equations, you get 5b equals 8. So b is equal to 8/5. Once you know what b is, you can plug it into the other expression. It's kind of a pain in the butt that they gave us one with a fraction. But whatevs. So a plus b, which is 8/5, is equal to 7. Move that 8/5 over. 7 would be 35/5 minus 8/5. So a is equal to 27/5. All right. So I'm ready to rewrite that expression. So instead of a over x plus 3, I have 27/5 over x plus 3. And my b value is 8/5 over x. Look, I put x plus b, but it's x plus 3. Whoop. X minus 2. Separate those two. That way I'm going to take those out so it's not so ugly. This one I'm taking an 8/5 out, and I have 1 over x minus 2. The derivative of what's on bottom is 1 for both of those. So I have 27/5 times the natural log of x plus 2. I have 8/5 times the natural log of x minus 2. And then don't forget, in the very beginning, I can't pull it back down, but in the very beginning we had already had x squared over 2 plus x. And then I think it was a plus. I don't know if we had a stray minus anywhere. I hope not, because I don't know if I could scoot it all down. But this is what we have. The only other thing you could do is put those two together. Again, you could put that coefficient back as an exponent. Now this time when you combine them, there's a plus sign in between. So that means you have the first one times the second one. Okay, so you could have that for a final answer as well. I'm wondering if it might have been x minus 1. You think? I don't remember what the problem was to begin with. Man. X minus 1. I think it was x minus 1. So if it was, you know that should be minus x. I just was trying to remember what was up above. Hopefully you were taking notes. Oh, it won't let me erase that. Nope. Alright, so that should be minus x. So we have x squared over 2 minus x plus natural log of x plus 2 to the 27/5 times x minus 2 to the 8/5 plus c. And that was number 6.